That's how a miter should look. Nice and tight. These miters were laid probably around 70 to 80 degrees. Yesterday we laid these miters, and they look just like these ones over here. They were the exact same. The boards were hot. Yesterday was well into the 90s when we laid these miters. It was a perfect miter, tight seam. And I come back this morning. It feels like it's probably in the 70s or 80s right now. It's cooler, significantly cooler. And you can see how much of a gap has developed within these miters from these boards shrinking. I notice over here, you see a little bit of shrinkage, but not as much. Part of that could be because this was in the shade. But I think part of it is that the length of these boards is only about 5 feet, whereas these boards are over 12 feet, and I think there was more material for it to be able to contract, and I think having more material contracting made it shrink to a greater amount. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace these two boards with slightly longer boards so that my miters can look like this, like they're supposed to. And I've decided that from now on, at these temperatures, we're going to set up a hose by our miter saw, and we're going to hose down the decking before I measure it and cut it with cold water to get the boards to contract down to the size that they're supposed to be. When I got to the job site this morning around 7:30, it was cooler, significantly cooler temperature from when we installed the decking, and all of it was gapped. So at around 8 o'clock I made the decision to tear the bench out and redo it, and you can see it now. What I did was I broke this area up into 2 boxes so that you would have less material to expand. It was 12'8". I cut it up into 2 boxes that are 6'4". This way it has less material to expand, so that when it does expand, it'll move less. We also moved all of our deck boards. You can't see, but back there in the wood line, we ran all of our decking under the trees in the shade, and we've been hosing them down with the hose to cool them down before I cut them and measure them, so that we're putting them in cool so that if they heat up, they expand, rather than them cooling down and contracting. You can see we picture framed around here. I decided to do a herringbone in the middle. I thought it would look cooler given the geometry of the deck. You know, this whole deck has that shape, and I thought the herringbone would kind of add a little architectural drama. Also, it's another miter we don't have to worry about. But it's not even 10 o'clock now, so in about 2 hours, doing sprints to that saw and sprinting back with material, I was able to fix this bench. And this bench now matches this triple parting board detail we had in the floor. I had to put this in here. I had to break the floor up. It was over 32 feet this way, and a double wouldn't have made it, so I had to do a triple. Yeah, there's the finished bench. Well, it still needs to get screws and plugs. You won't see any of these holes. These all get plugged. But yeah, that'll be the finished bench. This resurface job is coming out really nice. I'm really proud of this bench. I know this bench is going to be the statement piece. I also know the floor is 3 feet farther away from the human eye than this bench is. So this bench is really close to your eye. So if you're going to have unsightly miters on here, it's really going to be apparent.